I wanted to remind you quickly about the position of Neptune in the system, in the solar system. This is not always very obvious, but let's take a look at things this way. We have the sun as the center around which everything is rotating. And the first few planets are solid planets, rocky worlds: Mercury, Venus, our Earth, Mars. And up to there, where the personal planets end, we know that we have the zone of the very focused, integrated personal energies that are of some sort very different from what comes next after them. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are gas giants. They are much bigger, and they are what they're made of, what they look like, how far away they are from the sun, and many other characteristics put them in a completely different category from the first four. So we have one group of four and then another group of four. What about Pluto? With Pluto, we start entering another type of world, which is again different from what we had with Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So Neptune is in an effect the last gas giant in the solar system. And Pluto is part of the Kuiper belt, which is a number of bodies beyond Neptune, not just Pluto, but for the moment, Pluto is the largest one of them, and the one that has been, accepted by astrology as another next planet. You know how important it is, and it is by no means less important than Neptune or Uranus. But usually we say the trans-Saturnian planets, the three, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and consider them in this, group of three. But it's not very often pointed out that Pluto is actually, again, a solid planet, different from Neptune very much, not just in size, but in, its orbit is very different. And there is a very interesting relationship between Neptune and Pluto, as every now and then they come so close together because of the elliptic orbit of Pluto that Pluto crosses over and comes closer to the sun than Neptune. So they kind of switch their places. And this is extremely important. That happens only for about 20 years of the big cycle of Pluto. So, Pluto goes around the zodiac for almost 250 years. And during that time, there is a very short period of time when it does this. It goes, in from Neptune. So we can say that maybe at that moment we have some sort of influx of cosmic messages, energies, effects in some way from Pluto to the inside of the solar system, which is in some way we can say ending up to Neptune. I don't want to confuse it too much because we have said before in the past it used to end up to Saturn, and we've got this still idea of physical boundaries of the system up to Saturn, and then the next three planets are something like an aura, something like a more ephemeral transition area between the inside and the outside. But Neptune is actually the window, and here I've got a quote from Stephen Forrest's book, The Book of Neptune. He compares Neptune a lot to the window pane that is, separating us as a consciousness, as an individual, if we think of it personally, from the realm of the unknown, of the transcendent, of the cosmic, of those forces that we yet don't know much about. And it is very important whether this window is clear, clean, or not. And usually it's not that easy to look through it. So Stephen Forrest says, Neptune is the window through which consciousness peers at cosmos and through which the light of the cosmos pours into us. So Neptune is a function, a mode of perception. It is not just one thing or another, as you know. It's such a wide archetype, maybe the widest of them all. But it is something that is helping us have this connection with what goes beyond and to integrate some of it inside the system, which is more or less enclosed and limited. So when Pluto and Neptune were last very close together was quite recently. Around the time of the Second World War, they were coming into a lockstep to one another. And ever since, they are in this lockstep. So, there is this correspondence that when two planets theoretically are as far away from the sun, as the other one is, they would move in the same speed or in a very similar speed. So since the 40s, Neptune and Pluto are moving more or less in the same speed. And also, on top of that, they are in a sextile aspect, which is, I'm telling you all this because this is quite unique. It is very unique for the times that we are born in. It happens, as I told you, every time there is one round of the Pluto cycle, this moment of about 20 years when they are traveling very close together, but it's not always in a sextile. So we have two things going on at the same time. And at the moment, maybe everybody that's alive in the world has in their birth chart Pluto sextile Neptune. And how could this be special in so many different ways? The keywords about both of them and how they are both connected to opening up to the unconscious mind and to the workings of the unconscious mind, and then developing our psychological understanding of ourselves and the world, and trying to overcome things that were totally in the dark in the previous periods. So it's a very interesting sequence of several generations that all of us are part of, that have this eventually meeting of spirituality, Neptune, and psychology, that poses the question of how we can all work on these topics, and for the first time make them something extremely personal, and almost as personal as the functions of the personal planets. So during this period, we are seeing the rise of their psychology, now its integration with astrology as well, and how there's so much overlap, as they all come from the same mythological background. And we can say also that Neptune is a very connected with myth archetype, is the function of mythologizing and of fantasizing, and also looking for those through the storytelling explanations of different aspects of the psyche and different dynamics that we are all experiencing. So yes, this is actually something, again, Stephen Forrest says that it is an age when everyone needs to do their spiritual and psychological work. There is kind of no way out of it. And it's one of the greatest challenges that we all have right now.